Hi there, we're going to talk about posture today, something that's very important. One of the habits that people get into when they play is they tend to hunch. Hunching over the piano, it takes away anything beyond basically from here on up in terms of your playing. The importance of a straight spine is because all of the muscles that come from what I like to call your wings, down your arms and to your hands, they're all connected. So if you think of piano playing as being kind of something you're doing with your wings, when I play and I'm up, even if I am just playing certain notes, each tiny punch of my finger is really connecting to my spine. And it's not something where you have to be so rigid. I mean, there's still some movement that you want to have, but the minute you hunch forward, you're taking the straightness of your spine and all that musculature, and you're releasing its power. And you really are limited to what you're doing up here, but the minute you stand back and that you sit up straight, it feels much better, but it also gives you power. So it's not that you have to pound on the piano like that, but really each finger, when it goes down, I like to use the analogy, if you've ever looked at Bruce Lee, famed martial artist, he had a thing called the 1-inch punch, where he'd hold his fist 1 inch away from somebody and without recoiling hit them hard enough to knock them down. And they slowed down the video and said they could see basically every muscle up his legs and everything tensing into it. So this is kind of like every finger is doing its own version of the 1-inch punch, but you have to connect it to its power source. As you can see when I move my finger muscles, you see muscles wiggling in my arms and they go all the way up. One of the great things you can do for piano playing is swimming. When you swim, you're absolutely building those muscles that play the piano. And if your posture is good and you get into the habit of sitting up straight, you're going to feel that, and you'll also, if you happen to hunch, will feel the release of all of that power, and you'll be more inclined to keep your back straight, keep your spine straight, and make sure that you're playing right. Also, on the keyboard, your hand should never be like this. It should also never be too far up. You really want to have kind of an evenness across the top, because as your fingers play down, your hand is really not, if you bend like this, it's going to put strain here on the carpal tunnel region. And you're probably not going to play with this much of a curve up top, but the biggest thing I see people doing is kind of like relaxing their wrists. Keep your wrists up, and while you're playing with your hands on the piano, you'll notice different things, how it feels if you move your hand up and down. There's some movement, but it's not a lot, and my movement's all based on this kind of flexible zone, but again, I'm never going down like this and playing. Now, where I'm sitting at this keyboard is comfortable for me, but if this keyboard was too high or too low, you could see how that would put some strain on my wrist. So I want you to make sure your posture is good with your spine. Make sure you have a nice flow of evenness across the top. And I also want you to try this stretch. It's a really good stretch. Some people, they'll bend their fingers back. Do not ever do that. That's super bad for the cartilage in your hands. Put your hands together almost like it's in prayer and push them down, just like this. And don't let your palms come apart. And what you should start to feel, as I'm feeling right now, is a lot of stretching going on in the palms and also underneath the wrists. And that's a really, really good thing to do. I always like to also massage my hand, and I tend to do this to stretch out the muscles on the top of my hand. And I do a lot of hand massage in general, which feels really good. If you play a lot of piano, your musculature is going to get stronger, but if you're doing it correctly, you'll build your proper muscles, and you'll get all sorts of interesting muscles happen in your forearms and hands. But acoustic piano is what's going to give you those the strength and the chops. Just get into good habits early on, and then you'll be on a clear path to success. So good luck, keep playing.